So I can't be the only one that wants to bring every single camera gear, every single camera body, lenses, all the accessories with me when I want to go on a vacation or a family trip. Well, the next week I'm going to be going to Maui with my wife. We visit family every single year. And this time I'm only going to be bringing one backpack, one camera body, couple lenses, and just the accessories that I need. And I just want to show that to you because honestly, I get kind of tired of carrying a backpack that's super heavy with all this camera gear and I end up not even using a good amount of it. So I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna be bringing and also why I'm bringing it. And if you're interested in purchasing any of the gear in this video, I'm gonna put a link in the description. Now, going into this trip, this is not a business trip by any means. I'm not gonna be packing professional gear to get professional audio to make sure that I get every single shot and different focal lengths and different moods. This is just a vacation with me and my wife. And so I'm gonna be showing you a minimal-ish setup that I'm gonna be bringing with me to Maui. Okay, first things first is the backpack. This backpack is the Ulanzi BP09. This is my go-to backpack right now. I love it. It's like the perfect size. I believe it's like $110 or so. I like it because it's big enough to fit a camera, multiple lenses, but also have enough space for accessories. I really like the texture of this. It's kind of a texture that is gonna hold up for a long time. It has a laptop sleeve or laptop holder in the back. It has two sleeves for water bottles. A couple features that I actually really like is this front pocket. Right here has a zipper and it's not the biggest space, but it's actually like, it goes deep. And I actually like it because I put the things that I need to grab really quickly, whether it's my wallet, my passport, my boarding pass when I'm traveling, AirPods, my Kindle when I want to read. This is such quick access and I love it. And then the second compartment that I don't really use as often, but it kind of opens up into like this halfway position and there's another zipper right here. And then sometimes I'll put ND filters, extra batteries. I have a boarding pass right here. I'm not gonna show you that, but I don't even know where that's from. And I actually have another boarding pass. So I actually don't throw them away. I just keep them here. So that's the secondary pocket. And then the part that I like is obviously the main compartment, which I think this is called a top loading backpack. So you open it up and then as you can see, there are dividers that I customize that I can put my camera, lens or two, and then sometimes I'll put certain things on this top compartment, whether it's certain clothes or things like that that I just need to jam pack into this. But this is well big enough for maybe a 1 week trip for me. And that's the backpack of choice. Again, this is the Ulanzi BP09. Really affordable when you think about other backpacks that can be $200, $300. All right, next up is the camera body. Now, the camera body that I'm gonna be bringing with me is the Sony a7C II. Oftentimes, I actually bring my Sony FX3, which I am recording with right now, but more and more when I'm going on to these vacations and trips and I don't want to necessarily bring with me a heavy camera, I bring with me the a7C II. This is a compact 4K full frame camera and it is lightweight. It's small enough, but it doesn't feel too small where I feel like I'm gonna lose grip. This is, I believe, 33 megapixels. So this is actually great for photos as well. I can't speak more highly of the Sony a7C II. This is such a good camera to get some really good colors out of your image. Now, if you're like me, choosing the camera body is actually the easy part. Choosing the lenses that I'm gonna be bringing is the hard part. Now, I chose two lenses that I'm gonna be bringing with me onto this trip. And the two lenses that I'm gonna be bringing with me are the Sony 35mm f1.4 G Master and then the Laowa 10mm full frame zero distortion lens. Now, you can bring a zoom lens. You can get a 10-18 or a 16-35 if you have that focal range and that zoom capability. But something about prime lenses that have such good quality. And some trips I'm gonna be bringing a zoom lens because I don't wanna have to switch out lenses. But for this trip specifically, I really like the 10mm super wide lens from Laowa. This has gotten so popular over the years and I love it because it has zero distortion. So the sides aren't gonna be kind of caving in. It has really good picture quality and it's great for vlogging and getting those really creative shots. Sometimes I just wanna put it on my camera, set it down, and then do the thing that I'm gonna be doing without having to worry about having myself in the shot, because 10 millimeter, I'm for sure gonna be in the shot at some point. And then when it comes to a second lens, you really can't go wrong with the 35 millimeter. I think this is the perfect focal length for most things. Not often am I gonna need a telephoto lens like a 70 millimeter, 85, or even longer than that, like a 70 to 200 millimeter, because this is just a vacation and I'm not looking to get the most creative shots. Now, this is a camera hack that I love, especially with the Sony a7 II. This camera has a crop sensor mode. So if I put this 35 millimeter onto this Sony a7 II, which is a full frame lens on a full frame camera, you're gonna get a 35 millimeter focal length. But there's actually a feature on the Sony a7 II where you can go on crop mode, which basically turns it into a APS-C crop sensor lens essentially. So this 35 millimeter is essentially like a 50 to 52 millimeter focal length. The only caveat to that is that it's gonna crop in and it has to record essentially, I think, in 60 frames per second. Now, that's not a deal breaker because 30 frames and 60 frames, I'm not really looking to do a lot of slow motion on just a relaxing trip. But if I were to bring this 35 millimeter, I'm essentially getting a 35 and a 50 millimeter with just one lens and one camera body. Now, when it comes to audio, my go-to is the Sony ECM M1. I believe this is what it's called. This is a shotgun microphone that is completely wireless. It is turned on when you turn on your camera body. You just put it on top of the shoe mount just like this, and there's different settings in the back here. I usually just leave it either in the forward direction, so anything that is in front of the microphone, it's gonna be catching, or I like to just put it on surrounding. So if I wanna get the ambiance of the environment, it will get the entire surrounding audio. And I usually will do just auto because I just wanna set it and forget it. Now, I always like to have some sort of backup when it comes to my audio for traveling. So I'm gonna be bringing the Sony ECM M1, but also I'm gonna be bringing the DJI Mic 2s. I will tell you that this mic is still goated right now. There's nothing like it. The fact that it has two microphones, 32-bit float, and you can attach a lavalier mic to it. One downside that many people might say is that it's getting chunkier, especially nowadays when every single mic is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But I have had zero issues with this microphone and it has a really good battery life. So I always bring this with me. Now, when it comes to a tripod, I am bringing with me the Peak Design Travel Tripod, the aluminum version. I believe this was about $400. Damn! When I bought it, I have a love and hate relationship when it comes to Peak Design. There are certain features that I like and certain features that I don't like. The only reason why I actually really like this tripod is the form factor. And the reason is because I have other tripods that are just too long to put onto my backpack. They're doing something right because this is so small and I just actually put this on the side of my backpack and it fits just right. Now, do I wish I got the carbon fiber model instead of the aluminum? Sometimes I wanna say yes because this can feel pretty hefty. I have a Falcam tripod that I absolutely love, just a little bit longer than this. And it's carbon fiber and it's so much lighter than this. But I also don't want to spend $600 on the carbon fiber model. And I guess one upside to the aluminum version is that because it's a little bit heavier, you're gonna have a little bit more stability whenever you're out and about. Maybe it's on an uneven surface or it's a little bit windy outside. You have more of a peace of mind that this is gonna have more support than the carbon fiber model. All right, before I move on, I actually want to show you my favorite feature of this Peak Design travel tripod, and this is what sold me on it besides the compact feature of it. Adjusting the ball head on this tripod is by far the best feature of it. All you have to do, there's this kind of wheel right here, twist it, move the ball head, twist it back, and now it is secure. There's no knobs, there's no levers that you have to kind of crank hard. Literally 2 fingers, boom, move the ball head, locked. That is so good. That's my favorite feature. Next, I wanna show you my laptop, which I actually bring to every single trip that I go on. You just never know when you wanna edit a quick clip or when you're editing on the airplane or the airport. But this is my M3 MacBook Pro 14-inch with I think 36 gigabytes of RAM. Now, if you're a videographer, content creator, or you're just editing in a lot of 4K footage and you're compiling a lot of data, you want high amounts of RAM, which is basically the storage. Or in other words, you can have a lot of things open, like you can have Adobe Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Spotify, Safari, all going at the same time, and you won't have as much lag. Compared to like if you had 8 gigs of RAM, you can probably only have Safari and then Spotify open before it starts to lag. And I actually like 14-inch because when I'm traveling, this is just a good fit when it comes to putting it onto the airplane tray. And sometimes getting a 16-inch MacBook is just too big for a lot of backpacks. Okay, last two things that I want to show you for accessories are these two. So this is my favorite ND filter. ND filters are basically sunglasses for your camera lenses. And so especially when I'm bringing a super low aperture 35mm f1.4 with me onto these trips, if I'm on f1.4, it's letting in a lot of light. And so you want to compensate that by bringing an ND filter so you can maintain the f1.4. Without an ND filter, you're probably going to have to raise your aperture up to like 3.5, 2.8, 5.6, or even higher in broad daylight, or else it's going to be too high of an exposure. So my favorite ND filter is the Nisi True Color. I think this is the 5-stop. Yeah, 1 to 5 stops. So this is variable ND, so I can kind of change the level of the filtration, I guess you would say. This is an 82mm. I always get the biggest one because even if my lens is smaller, I just attach step-up rings to it. So I can put this on any camera, no matter what size the ring is. Now, if you're just starting off, you don't need to buy an expensive one like this. I believe I bought this for maybe $250. Now, I'm not gonna sell you on an ND filter, but what I will say is that when you put an ND filter onto your camera lens, if you have, let's say, a really high quality, expensive camera lens and you put a cheap ND filter on it, usually what happens is two things. You're gonna have discoloration, so it can either make it more green or purple, but you can also have vignetting, which basically is that kind of narrowing on the sides. It's like black, and it just doesn't make your image look good. So when you're investing in a pretty expensive lens, you want to have a really good ND filter to make sure that you're getting the same quality that you want out of your image. All right, next accessory is super simple. This is, I think, $8, but it's an SD card to USB-C adapter. Now, you just want to get whatever adapter your phone is. Let's say if it's a USB-C, if you have a newer iPhone, or if you have an older iPhone, you want to do a lightning cable to SD card adapter. Now, what this does is you can take your SD card straight out of the camera, put it into this adapter, plug it into your phone, and now you can download your videos and your photos directly onto your phone, which is super clutch because sometimes you just want to take a video and post that onto your stories or your Instagram, and you want to have the highest quality possible, and this takes less than 2 minutes to get it onto your phone. So that's really all the camera gear that I'm going to be bringing with me onto a 1-week vacation. I want to keep it nice, light, and not bringing everything and then being so overwhelmed with the options that I'm not using everything. And if you're still watching at this point in the video, shout out to you, but I want to ask you a question. What is your go-to minimalist camera gear setup that you are bringing with you onto a simple trip? What is the tripod? What is the camera body? What lens or lenses are you bringing, and the audio gear, and maybe an accessory or two? And I'm interested to see what people are bringing because everybody has a different taste when it comes to what they bring. But with that said, I hope you enjoy the video. I'll see you next time. Peace.